It's time once again for the Maple Grove City Report. I'm Dave Kaiser. Thanks for joining us with Heidi Nelson, Maple Grove City Administrator. Welcome once again.
Thank you.
We've got an early December meeting to talk about, and as you might imagine, the month of December full of activities in the city of Maple Grove, so we'll get to some of those a little bit later. A few events already taken place and have been going very, very well. Let's talk about the meeting on the 4th. It was a 50-minute meeting. Quite a few items to touch on in a moment, but first, one item pulled off the consent agenda, and that's a little recognition of an employee who, believe it or not, has been there for 33 years, but is retiring. Tell us about Jody.
Yeah, so Jody Iliff has served with the city for 33 years, for the bulk of that time as the Secretary for the Community Development Department, and that's certainly a position that has a lot of interaction with the community development community and residents and our City Council, Planning Commission, and whatnot. So Jody's a familiar face to many at City Hall and certainly will be missed, but we certainly wish her all the best in her retirement. We have a number of folks that are departing the city's service here in the next couple of years. As we've talked about before, a lot of our staff have really been there for 30+ years. And so we're really seeing a lot of transition, and we're trying to be prepared for that with succession planning. Julie Board is going to be retiring from our assessing department. So a couple of our front desk, Julie Feline from our front reception area is going to be retiring, kind of the face at the front desk. So a lot of transitions, but hopefully we're prepared to deal with bringing the new folks on board and getting them up to speed quickly. So
best of luck to Jody. Let's move on in the meeting to the special business. There are a few items that were liquor violations, and tell us a little of the background again. This is something that happens on a regular basis in Maple Grove. I understand the checks were made in late October, and this is the result of that. What happened?
Yeah, so our police department gets out a couple times a year and does liquor compliance checks with our license holders in town, both on sale and off sale, just to make sure sales to minors aren't occurring. We did have a couple failures this time, Lunds & Byerly's Wine and Spirits, as well as Pyology, so one off sale, one on sale operation. We do have a process where they can request a hearing and, contest the process or talk about how the compliance check was conducted, whatnot. Neither entity requested a public hearing, so this was really just kind of coming forward to council for the disposition of that violation. Typically, there could be a couple days suspension of their liquor license, as well as some sort of fine that goes along with that. So discussion of the Lunds & Byerly's, they brought with a good number of their staff and talked about some of the changes they've made to their process for IDing folks when they come into the store. A lot of retailers are now incorporating kind of a scanning system where they actually scan your driver's license into the system, and it's either kind of a go, no go on the transaction. That's kind of the easiest way to prevent human interaction with the process. A lot of times you see clerks overriding a date, or just entering a date and not taking the time to enter that information or really look at the ID, which is what trips people up. So I think Lunds & Byerly take a very proactive, they take this seriously. They took a very proactive approach to it. The council wanted to get a little bit more information. They did have a failure a few years ago. We always look at a 3-year window, so the penalties kind of increase if you have more than one within that 3-year window. And so they wanted to understand kind of what the council action was the last time Lunds & Byerly's was in front of them. So we're going to bring that information back on the 18th to consider that disposition. The other one was for Pyology Pizzeria there right on Main Street. They weren't able to, just due to some scheduling conflicts, able to attend the December 18th meeting, and so they asked that this could be tabled to the 18th, and that was fine with the City Council. So tabled to the 18th, so both of these will come back on that night, and we'll consider the disposition of those violations.
Very good. Next item under special business was a special topic you've been working on for months and months and months. It's kind of the breather here that is finally coming to the end, and this is the budget for the city for 2018. So give us a few of the numbers again for people that have been watching along here. What is the final number? And in the process, we've got one more time. Is that correct?
We do. Yep. So this was the official budget hearing. So this is when you got your tax and your T&T notice, your tax statement notice from the county. It listed this meeting on there as our budget hearing. So the public was welcome to attend that meeting. I think what happens a lot of times is people look at that notice and they are focused on the value of their property property. And so a lot of times they come to that budget hearing meeting wanting to talk about the valuation that was assigned to their property, which is a process that we do in the spring of every year. So for the values for payable taxes 18, we really set those values in the spring of 18.
Right.
So right now, for instance, the assessment work that our city assessor's office has been doing is setting the values for payable 19. So we're almost a year in arrears on values when it comes to when you're paying your taxes. The value has really been set almost a year in advance.
Right.
So for better or worse, you know, folks show up to the budget hearing and they want to talk about their property value. Luckily, you know, our assessor, Tim Mitchell, was there, able to kind of answer questions. And if there is some sort of anomaly with the property valuation, we can have some discussion around that.
Right.
So then we moved into the budget hearings. So for 2018, we're proposing a budget of just under 40 million, 39,511,000. So this is a 2.38% increase from a budget perspective over 2017. And then the levy's real close in terms of percentages, about 2.39%, and that portion of the levy that comes from property taxes is about 36 million. So the lion's share of our city budget comes from the property tax rolls. So pretty flat budget this year, not a lot of additional positions. We're going to be adding a position in the police department, a patrol officer, and then shifting more into the investigations. We haven't added a lot of staff in our investigations department for some time, so we're going to be shifting more resources to investigations. And then a couple changes in the parks and recreation department park keeper position, as well as taking a couple positions from part-time to full-time there, where we're just seeing an increase in you know, special event activity and our seniors program. So pretty modest budget this year, just trying to kind of keep that below that, you know, lined up with inflation and growth and whatnot. But yeah, 2.39% increase on the levy this year.
How does that compare to the last 2, 3, 5 years as far as that 2.3? My guess would be it's probably pretty similar to what you've seen.
It is. We are below kind of the 9-year average. I think the 9-year average was around a little over 3%, so we're below that this year. So, and there's been years in the last, you know, 10 years that we've been lower. Certainly at the time of the recession, everybody kind of, you know, building department revenues decreased, and so a lot of operations followed that line. But yeah, this is probably below the 10-year average.
And again, so many moving factors to consider when you're putting together a city budget, because it's not just the city decisions that are made that affect that, but obviously decisions made by the state and by the county and other bodies as well. So when people look at that tax statement, they have to take that into consideration. And certainly this year, more of a valuation point is that there was a shift from the state, as I understand it, related to the commercial property. So things like that affect what a homeowner is going to have to do. It
is. It's interesting. So there was a move by the legislature. They exempted the first $100,000 of value for commercial industrial properties. And so what that does is we always see this every year, depending on where values shake out. What values increased, what values didn't increase. The tax burden kind of shifts. Not to any great extent, I don't think, unless the shift is real great, but we usually always see just a small shift to where the burden lies, and I think this year it shifted more towards the residential. We've seen kind of a stagnating in values of higher end homes. Those home values really aren't growing at the same rate as the lower end value homes. So I think the lower end value homes saw more value increase, and therefore, you know, took a little bit more of the tax burden. So, you know, you never know how it's going to turn out for next year in terms of where values will shake out. Of course, that's all based on sales data. We always look at, you know, sales of comparable properties, and the assessing department does a pretty thorough review of that. And so it's really based on, you know, what are properties really selling for in this community, and that forms the basis of how we value properties. So
again, you have a double-edged work there of not only considering what we need from a city standpoint, staffing-wise, but what are those external factors that you have to take into consideration when a homeowner is going to look at it and go, wait a minute, what happened here? So interesting process. One more step again on the 18th, then that will be the final approval. And
that'll be the final approval. We'll also have our EDA budget, which is also includes the HRA budgets. Those will come back on the 18th for final consideration as well.
Then you take a breather for a week and start working on 19.
Start working on the 19 budget.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I'm sure you've already been thinking about it.
We are. We try to really look at it in 5-year, so that we understand on a 5-year basis, what does the budget look like if we have, typical cost of living increases and whatnot. We really kind of want to keep that in, that pretty constant, so we're not having peaks and valleys there to the extent that we can. So we really try to take a long-term view of that, so that hopefully no surprises.
Hats off to the staff for all the great work through the process here. Let's move ahead to some staff reports. Community development, a few things happening around town. Give us a little look of what's maybe coming. Yeah,
so you'll probably see an amendment come forward on the village's plan. This is the fourth corner of Arbor Lakes. They want to move a few things around down there, some of the buildings, move the hotels to one side and change up some of the retail locations or restaurant locations. And so we're working with them on that, but you'll probably see that come forward here after the first of the year. Okay. Lifetime Swim School is moving forward with their construction. If you recall, this is just up Hemlock Lane there, kind of by the Sky Apartments, one of those outlots that was left there. Sam's Club is looking at doing some external modification. This is in line with the sort of the online shopping phenomena now, where I can order things online, drive up to Sam's Club, and somebody brings it to my vehicle instead of having to kind of get out and get into the store, particularly during this holiday season. So they're making some changes. We have a proposal for kind of a new office flex building over off of Wedgwood, kind of in and around where the Hartford building is over there. So that one will be coming forward. I think that kind of rounded it out.
And then the Span Creek, do we want to mention the Span Creek site? So up on County 81.
Yep, County.
People probably know where that site is, and there's some thoughts about it.
Yeah, Wells Concrete site. So they had gone out for an RFP to try to find a developer that would be interested in acquiring the site and putting, probably redeveloping it, really kind of taking out that concrete operation and putting in a little bit more heavy industrial. That corridor up off of 81 tends to be the area where a little bit more intense industrial uses try to live.
Okay.
So some cleanup that needs to be done up there. We understood there would be some probably concrete and rebar and construction material debris on that site that'll need to be dealt with before it's redeveloped. But as of right now, it looks like Duke developers are involved with that one. They are the same, proposing our Arbor Lakes Business Park project.
Right.
Very different product up there on 81 than what would be down off of Elm Creek Boulevard. But this one's going to take a little while, because there's some environmental issues to deal with, and so probably be at least a year before you see some plans come forward on that one.
All right, so there's your community development update. And one final item from the agenda on the 4th was talking about Hennepin County and the crime lab. So give us a little background and explain what has occurred to bring it to this point, and cities really having to take a look at it.
Yeah, so a lot of media coverage in the last few days on this one, on the local papers and local news. But basically, there was kind of a budget amendment that was presented by a few members of the county board that would have moved the Hennepin County Crime Lab out from under the sheriff's office into the Department of Administration. Within that, there was also direction that the county begin negotiations or begin talking with the city of Minneapolis about merging the Hennepin County Crime Lab with the Minneapolis Crime Lab. So some pretty big moves, and there's been a lot of study of this issue by Hennepin County over the last 15 years. There's been a number of studies that they've done. This one, I think how it came to the table as a commissioner's budget amendment really caught a few folks by surprise. I think, we heard certainly from the sheriff on this matter, but I think also just suburban law enforcement had some questions and some concerns about, what does this mean to the services we receive? Because we rely on the services of the Hennepin County Crime Lab here in Maple Grove. What does it mean to our services, and how, what changes might be afoot? And I think the move to administration is one piece, but I think certainly merging with Minneapolis brings a bigger set of issues to deal with. So I think our feedback and the resolution that we passed to along to Hennepin County was, we certainly recognize the value of exploring, you know, whether it's a structural change or merging of services to gain efficiencies. You know, we certainly understand the need, and we should be looking at those things.
Right.
We just felt like we needed to take a bit more time and make sure that law enforcement was at the table and understanding those things before some changes were made. So Hennepin County Board had more discussion about that this week on Wednesday at their board meeting. They carried this, kind of laid it over, progressed the item to next week's meeting, and so there'll be more discussion, so we'll kind of wait to see what happens here. But regardless, I think, you know, we raised the issue with not only the county board, but county administration, and hopefully we'll have a chance to be at the table. This year, Chief Werner serves as the chair of the Hennepin County Chiefs Association, and so he sort of took on the role of spokesperson for the Hennepin County Chiefs and was able to speak at the Anoka County hearing, or I'm sorry, Hennepin County hearing there. And so we'll see what happens next week, but we're following this one closely. You know, the level of crimes that we want to do DNA work on and we want to see processed at the crime lab here in Maple Grove is a little bit different than Minneapolis's. You know, how Minneapolis approaches those issues just because of the volume of issues that they deal with there. And we want to make sure that that doesn't change. It's important to us to be able to address kind of those, what would maybe be perceived in other jurisdictions as lower level crimes. But I think what we find is that if we're able to chase after those and that kind of crime out of our community, maybe we're hedging off bigger problems. And so it's important to us to be able to still have that same access to services. So we'll keep following along with this one.
Very good.
Yep.
And my guess would be what you did is very similar to what other cities here in the Northwest area and throughout the metro did. So this was not an uncommon thing to be done.
No, I think they heard a very unified message from the suburban law enforcement agencies. Bloomington also took, you know, kind of a big stance on this, and so I think there was kind of one voice coming from law enforcement.
Very good.
Yep.
So that's a recap of the meeting on the 4th, again about 50 minutes. Next meeting is on the 18th. We'll give you more information about that in a few minutes, but now get your calendars out. A lot happening in December, so let's touch on some things that are coming up and also a few that have happened, and one was something that you did with the staff, this annual event. Tell us about employee recognition.
Yeah, so we had our employee recognition event late yesterday afternoon into the evening. We gathered at the community center. We had over 150 employees and retirees that attended. It's just a nice gathering time for people to come together here at the end of the year and kind of celebrate the success of the year and honor the service of our employees. We also present Years of Service Awards, and so 30 current employees were honored for their service, and we sort of mark the milestones, you know, at 5 years and then every 5-year increment up to 30 years and beyond. So Steve Hauer, our finance director, received a 25-year service award last evening. That's pretty remarkable, and we have no shortage of those folks that have been around for those number of years, which I think speaks to the type of employer the city of Maple Grove is, and the organization and the community that we serve. So nice event. Council is able to join us and thank employees for their service, and it's try to keep it light and not a lot of business, but just sort of celebrate the service that's done.
Very good.
Yep.
Note for you, if you're going to stop by the Government Center on the 25th, the doors will be locked. So it will be closed that day for Christmas holiday, again on Monday, December 25th. Keep that in mind. Let's talk transit. We've got some statistics to pass along and some very good statistics.
Yeah, so not very often do you hear about on-time performance for public transit being at 97.5%. So that is pretty remarkable. And this is the highest it's ever been since we started collecting this data in 2011. And so this is based on 2,407 individual express trips across 6 routes during the month of October. So they observed, you know, that many routes during that month. So that's pretty good. So big thanks to Mike Opatz. He's our transit administrator, runs a great ship over there, and so this is, you know, and it's good for our residents and those folks that take advantage of our transit services, knowing that they're likely going to be on time to wherever they're going.
And a good thing to think about now as winter comes and you might not want to drive, so it might be something to take a look at. Open to business, we've mentioned this a number of times, a great program within the city, and you've got a date coming up quickly here for people if they're interested.
Yeah, December 12th. So this, again, our schedule for this is the second Tuesday of every month, December 12th, from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. And this, of course, is at the Government Center. We do ask that if you are interested in coming out, maybe give a call or send an email. Rob Schmoland is the individual that works with the businesses there. Kind of likes to know that you're coming. Usually wants you to bring with some information about your business, and then he can plan for you a little bit. So that information's all on our website.
Very good. Angel of Hope, this is an event we've talked about that was coming up, and it has occurred here, or yes, it has occurred, and so give us a little recap of that. And again, it was at the updated site, so I'm sure people really loved what they saw. It was really nice. I had an opportunity to get out there. It was a cold evening, so we all kind of laughed because I think most of us, what was showing was just our eyes, and you kind of had to say, "Hi, it's me." But it was a cold evening, but everybody kind of hung in there and got through. It was a very nice event. And yes, the new space, it's much larger now up around where the Angel of Hope Memorial is, and so there was room for everybody. And really nice event with candlelight and kind of on a cold winter's night. So if people are interested, don't know where that site is, we're at the corner of County 30 and Fernbrook. It's in the Arboretum area of the city. Well, Santa is looking for your letters, and you have an opportunity to help pass that mail along. We do. Tell us how kids can do that. So right inside the front door of the community center, there's a big snowman there, big inflatable snowman that is kind of lit up, and then there's a mailbox there for Santa. So kids can write their letters and send them off, and those are accepted through December 13th. And after you mail the letter, get your skates on because you want to head over to the outdoor skating area. Tell us about the park loop. Yeah, so this cold weather helps us for a couple things, and that would be not only the outdoor refrigerated rink, but I think our other outdoor rinks are getting underway as well here. Not quite open yet, but yeah, so we've had good skating over at Central Park, and it's always kind of nice during this holiday season to get out with the family on a Friday night or a weeknight and go skating. And concession stands are open, skate rentals are available. Nice, and the fire pit is open this year, so that's a nice addition as well. All right, a lot of people will be there over the holidays, especially when school's out, so stop by and have some fun there. Farmers Market, we want to give a plug that the next one is coming up, and it is inside on the 21st. Tell us about that opportunity. Yeah, Thursday, December 21st from 3 to 6 inside the community center. And they all are doing their ugly Christmas sweaters that day. So you're encouraged to wear yours that day, but nice event. I was able to stop by the farmers market yesterday afternoon at the community center. They still have a lot of produce. I was able to get some Brussels sprouts. Good. So that's kind of amazing, and a lot of root vegetables, that kind of thing. And then, of course, the jams and jellies and pickles and home products, that kind of thing. So worth a stop before the holidays. Very good. Yep. New Year's Eve is a big event in the city of Maple Grove at the Community Center. A little shift this year, though. We're going a little bit earlier, so tell us why people should come to the Community Center on the 31st. Yeah, so 2 to 6 p.m. on Sunday, December 31st. Cost is $10 per person. We do recommend that if you're planning to come, you buy tickets in advance. This does tend to sell out. There's dancing, inflatables, crafts, ice skating. The Maple Maze will be open, swimming pool's open, and then they will do the balloon drop early at 5:45 p.m. that afternoon. So this is on a Sunday. New Year's Eve is on a Sunday this year, and so you can buy tickets on the city's website, and then you can also buy them at the door. But again, this is a pretty popular event, so if you plan to come, we do recommend you get tickets in advance. Yeah, great chance to get the full use out of the community center, so make sure you stop by. Speaking of the community center, some of the things with Park and Rec, it's time to look ahead to the next season already, so they've got a brochure that's out. Yeah, so we have the new Park and Rec brochure. It's got all the winter programs in it, and that will be delivered to everybody's homes, and it's also available on our city website and paper copies at City Hall and the Community Center. All right, a couple more Park and Rec notes. We'll keep on the roll here. We've got a position open in that area. Tell us about that. Yeah, park supervisor position. We had Scott Roberts was in this position for a number of years and has decided to kind of make a career change for himself and make a move here. So we are looking for somebody to lead up our parks and recreation, kind of our maintenance operations. Great job opportunity. So if you're looking for something out there, we encourage you to take a look. And that one, it's open through next Monday, December 18th. So a bit of time left. We'll give you the website a little later so you can look for that information of where to sign up. And speaking of helping out with the parks, again, great park system in the city of Maple Grove, and they might need you to give some input and to help lead that. Tell us about the park board. Yeah, so the park board, Maple Grove has a little bit of a different structure than a lot of suburban communities. Our park board is a bit autonomous in the sense that
The City Council still approves their budget. The City Council is still involved with appointing Park Board members. However, once their budget's approved, the Park Board is sort of responsible with implementing and running their program. And so all the staff that works in our Parks and Recreation Department, they report up to the Park Board. So it's a little bit of a different structure, not quite like a Minneapolis model where Minneapolis has kind of their own taxing levy authority, but it is sort of an independent board. So this is an opportunity for someone to step up and serve on our Parks Board. We have a lot of really exciting things happening in the next few years here. We're finishing up a park system plan update as part of our comp plan process, which identified, a number of projects that might come to fruition over the next 5, 7, 10 years. So it's an exciting time to come on board. So if you're interested in getting involved with the city, Parks Board would be a great way to do that. And the applications are open through December 29th, and that information's on our website as well. All
right, final run, 4 more events to tell you about that are coming up. So again, the calendar's key here. Toys for Tots, opportunity to help out. Where can we drop things off in the city?
Through December 15th, we will take your unwrapped gifts, unwrapped toys for a child at the Government Center, Community Center, Public Works, and the Public Safety Facility. So we actually have kind of a little sign in the window, and then there's the box there, so you can drop them off anytime. And then they're collected through December 15th.
Very good. And Heidi is planning her schedule for a couple of these upcoming ones, so you might want to as well to get your family out and going, and a lot of things happening in the city. Let's first talk about Winter Wonderland. What is this?
Yeah, so this is over at the shops at Arbor Lakes, holiday festivities, and that is this weekend, Saturday, September 9th, from 10 to 2. Santa and his reindeer will be in the central courtyard at the shops, and the Maple Grove Arts Council is hosting a holiday decor workshop. So lots going on there, and then from 2 to 4, families are invited to enjoy an enchanted Christmas ball that includes dancing, caroling, crafts, and some fairy tale characters as well. So they do encourage you to make reservations for that enchanted Christmas ball portion of the event, but the Santa piece in the courtyard is kind of come and go type of thing. So that'll be fun on Saturday, and hopefully the weather will cooperate with them over there.
Great to see a number of businesses getting involved in hosting their own events. We've got another one here that's hosting an event. This is the hospital is getting in on the holiday fun. Tell us about that.
They are. So Thursday, December 14th from 5 to 7. It's the 8th annual Light the Grove holiday celebration. They're going to have hot cocoa and treats, caroling, horse-drawn trolley rides, pictures with Santa and his reindeer, and the event is free and open to the public, and they encourage you to dress accordingly for the outdoor activities.
That would be smart.
Yes.
Final note is a way to give during the holiday season, maybe a little different than you might think of. This is giving blood, so we've got a blood drive coming up.
Yeah, and right Friday, December 22nd, right before the holiday season, so I think it's a good opportunity. I think, blood donations tend to go down this time of the year. People are busy, they got stuff going on. So Friday, December 22nd from 8 to 11 a.m. This will be at the Government Center, so they'll pull their bloodmobile right up in front of the Government Center. If you're interested in donating, it is the I'm just trying to think if we probably have this information on our website, but the website is MB. Ooh, I'm not going to be able to give them that. That's not going to be good. Well, give a call to City Hall. We'll get you connected.
But again, the date on that is coming up on the 22nd, 8 to 11. So again, sign up ahead of time, or you might even be able to drop by that day and get in.
For sure.
Heidi, thank you very much for the information. Again, a lot going on in the city. We want to leave you with next information about the next meeting, which is Monday, December 18th, 7:30 at the Government Center. Phone number at the bottom of the screen to the Government Center, but again, we mentioned a lot about the website, so in the middle, maplegrovemn.gov, find out about the position opening, the park board, also the blood drive, and many other things going on. If your response line, 533-1710, questions or comments about the program, we'd be happy to hear them. For Heidi Nelson, I'm Dave Kaiser. Thanks for joining us on the Maple Grove City Report.